If someone made your darkest wish come true without asking, could you ever forgive them? I need to tell someone about what happened on New Year's Eve 2 years ago. I still can't sleep through midnight without remembering. The sound of people counting down makes my skin crawl. I've tried therapy. I've tried medication. Nothing works. My name is Marcus. I was 24 then, working at a tech startup in Seattle. One of those companies that promised equity and delivered pizza parties. My boss, Derek, invited the whole team to his place for New Year's. Big house in the suburbs, open bar, catered food. He said it was going to be epic. He said it every year, apparently, though I'd only been there 6 months. I almost didn't go. I had this feeling in my gut. You know the kind. The one that sits heavy in your stomach and whispers that something's wrong. But everyone was going, and I didn't want to be the guy who stayed home alone on New Year's Eve. The guy people stop inviting to things. Derek's house was massive. 3 floors. A basement with a home theater and a bar that looked like something from a nightclub. Floor-to-ceiling windows, overlooking the sound. When I got there around 9, the place was already packed. Music pounding so loud I could feel it in my chest. People I barely knew dancing in the living room. Drinks sloshing over the rims of their glasses. I grabbed a beer from one of the coolers and tried to blend in. I'm not great at parties. I never have been. I found a corner near the kitchen and watched people. Tried to look like I was having fun. Derek found me after about 20 minutes. He was already drunk. I could tell by the way he walked. Too careful. Overcompensating. He put his arm around me and leaned in close. His breath smelled like whiskey and something sour. Decay. Almost. Marcus. My man. You made it. He squeezed my shoulder too hard. Hard enough that it hurt. Listen, I need you to do me a favor later. Around 11:30. 11. I'm gonna need your help with something in the basement. Nothing crazy. Just need an extra set of hands. I asked what kind of help. What he needed me to do. He just smiled. This wide, empty smile that didn't reach his eyes. Then he patted my chest twice and walked away. The party got louder. More people showed up. The house felt smaller with every arrival. Bodies pressed together. The air got thick and hot. I recognized maybe half of them from work. The others were friends of Derek's, I guess. Or friends of friends. People who appeared and disappeared into rooms I couldn't see. There was this woman in a red dress who kept staring at me from across the room. Tall, dark hair, pretty in a way that felt intentional. Every time I looked her way, she'd hold my gaze for just a second too long, then turn her head. It happened 4 times, 5 times. I started avoiding that side of the room. Around 10, someone turned the music up even louder. The bass was rattling the windows. People were shouting to be heard. I saw a guy I recognized from accounting projectile vomit into a potted plant. Nobody even noticed. Or if they did, they didn't care. I needed a break. The bathroom on the main floor had a line of 7 people, all of them swaying, so I headed upstairs. The second floor was darker, quieter. The music was muffled up there. I could hear my own breathing again. I found a bathroom at the end of the hall, locked myself inside, splashed cold water on my face, looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes were bloodshot. I'd only had 1 beer, but I looked exhausted. I stayed in there longer than I needed to, just sitting on the edge of the tub, collecting myself, wondering if I could slip out without anyone noticing. When I came out, I heard voices coming from one of the bedrooms. The door was cracked open about an inch, just enough to see a sliver of light. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but I heard Derek's voice, and he was arguing with someone. "I told you it has to be tonight. Derek said. His voice was harder now. Sober. We agreed. Everyone agreed. We can't push it again. A woman's voice responded. I recognized it, but I couldn't place it. What if he says no? What if he tries to leave before we're ready? Then we don't let him leave. There was a pause, then the woman again. What about last time? Jennifer didn't handle it well. She filed a complaint. Jennifer signed the waiver. They all do. She can't prove anything. My stomach dropped. My hands went cold. I backed away from the door as quietly as I could. 1 step, 2 steps. The hallway floor creaked. I froze. The voices inside stopped. I heard footsteps approaching the door. I turned and walked quickly back to the stairs, trying to look casual. My heart was slamming against my ribs so hard I thought it might crack one. I went back downstairs and stood near the front door. I was already planning my exit. Get my coat. Say I felt sick. Just leave. But then Derek appeared at the bottom of the stairs. He saw me standing there, and his expression changed, like a mask slipping. Something cold underneath. You okay, Marcus? You look pale. You're not getting sick on me, are you? I told him I was fine. Just needed some air. The heat. Too many people. He nodded slowly. Then he checked his watch. It was one of those expensive ones. The kind that costs more than my rent. 11:15. Almost time. He smiled. Don't go anywhere. I still need that favor. I wasn't kidding about that. I waited until he walked away. Then I headed for the door. But when I tried the handle, it wouldn't turn. Locked. I tried again. Harder. Nothing. I looked at the lock mechanism. It was one of those smart locks. Digital. No keyhole. No way to override it without a code. I pulled out my phone to call an Uber. No signal. 0 bars. I moved to a different spot. Same thing. I tried again. Nothing. I looked around and noticed other people checking their phones too. Frustrated expressions, shaking them, holding them up to the windows. The woman in the red dress was standing by the kitchen now, still staring. She was close enough that I could see her face clearly. She mouthed something I couldn't hear over the music. It looked like, I'm sorry. Derek appeared next to me again. I didn't hear him coming. He moved like a cat. Signal's been weird all night, he said. Something about the hills or the weather. I don't know. Tech issues. He shrugged. Come on. Let me show you what I need help with. It'll take 5 minutes. Then you can get back to the party. He put his hand on my back and guided me toward the basement door. His grip was firm. Too firm. I tried to pull away, but his fingers dug in. I looked around for help, but everyone was drinking. Dancing. Laughing. Nobody was paying attention. Or they were pretending not to. The basement stairs were steep and narrow. Old wood that creaked under our weight. Derek went first. I followed because I didn't know what else to do. My legs felt like they weren't mine, like I was watching myself from outside my body. The basement was finished. Leather couches, a massive TV mounted on the wall, a wet bar in the corner with bottles of liquor I couldn't afford, but it was cold down there. Colder than it should have been. My breath came out in little clouds. Derek walked over to the far wall and pulled aside a curtain I hadn't noticed. Behind it was a door, heavy, metal, industrial-looking, with a keypad lock that glowed red in the dim light. He punched in a code, 6 digits. I tried to see what he entered, but his body blocked my view. The lock beeped twice and clicked open. He looked back at me. I need you to come inside for just a minute. I promise it won't take long. Just need you to verify something. I asked what? What did he need me to verify? He didn't answer. He just opened the door wider. The room inside was small. maybe 8 by 8 feet. Concrete walls, a single chair in the center, metal frame, and restraints attached to the chair. Leather straps, heavy duty, the kind you'd see in a hospital or a prison. I turned to run, but there were people behind me now. 3 of them. 2 men I didn't recognize and the woman in the red dress. They'd followed us down without making a sound. They were standing at the bottom of the stairs, blocking the only exit. Derek sighed. "Marcus, don't make this harder than it has to be. We drew names. Yours came up. That's just how it works. It's nothing personal." I asked what he was talking about. My voice came out high and shaky, like a kid's. The woman in the red dress stepped forward. Up close, I could see she'd been crying earlier. Her makeup was smudged at the corners. "Every year, we pick someone. It's tradition. You're the sacrifice for the new year." "Not literally," she added quickly. "We're not going to kill you. We're not monsters. We just need you to sit in the chair until midnight. Then we let you go. That's it. That's all." I didn't believe her. I told her I wanted to leave. Right now, I'd forget the whole thing. I wouldn't tell anyone. One of the men laughed. "That's what Jennifer said." I shoved past him and ran for the stairs. I made it halfway up before someone grabbed my ankle and pulled hard. I hit the stairs face first. My chin split open on the edge of a step. Blood filled my mouth. I could taste copper and salt. They dragged me back down. I was screaming, but the music upstairs was too loud. Nobody could hear me. Or maybe they could and they just didn't care. Maybe they all knew. Maybe this was part of the party. They got me into the chair, 4 of them holding me down while Derek fastened the restraints. Wrists first, then ankles, then a strap across my chest that made it hard to breathe. I was hyperventilating, begging them to stop. Crying. I'm not ashamed to say it. I was terrified. Derek crouched in front of me. His face was calm, almost bored. "Marcus, calm down. In 12 minutes, it'll be midnight. We'll let you go. We'll give you $5,000 cash, tax-free. You'll never have to see any of us again. You can quit on Monday. We'll give you a good reference, but you need to stop screaming. You're making this unpleasant for everyone." I asked why. Why me? Why any of this? What was the point? He stood up and brushed off his pants, adjusted his watch. "Because somebody has to sit in the chair. That's the rule. Every new year needs a sacrifice, not a real one. Just someone who sits here and absorbs it. All the bad luck, all the mistakes from the year before. You sit here and we all get to start fresh. Last year it was Jennifer from accounting. Year before that, some guy from my gym. Derek. Before that. They're all fine. You'll be fine." I asked what happened to them, where they were now. Derek smiled. "Jennifer moved to Portland, got a better job. She's doing great. The others, I don't know. We don't keep in touch, but they're alive, if that's what you're worried about." Then they all left. One by one. The woman in the red dress was last. She looked back at me before she closed the door. Her expression was unreadable. Then the door closed. I heard the lock click. Multiple locks, heavy bolts sliding into place. The room was soundproof. I couldn't hear the party anymore. Couldn't hear the music or the laughter or people counting down. Just my own breathing, ragged and fast. The hum of ventilation somewhere above me. A low mechanical sound that drilled into my skull. I tried to get out of the restraints. I pulled until my wrists bled. The leather dug into my skin. I could feel it tearing, but nothing gave. They were too tight, professionally installed. There was a clock on the wall. Digital, red numbers. It said 11:51, 9 minutes until midnight. I don't know how to explain what happened in that room. Maybe it was panic. Maybe it was oxygen deprivation from the chest strap. Maybe it was something else. But the longer I sat there, the more wrong everything felt. The walls seemed to close in, not physically, but perceptually, like my vision was tunneling. The air got thicker, harder to breathe. My chest felt tight. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would stop. I started seeing things in the corners. Shadows that moved. Shapes that looked almost human. I told myself it was the panic, the fear, but they kept moving, getting closer. At 11:55, the lights flickered. Once, twice. Then they went out completely. I was in the dark. Total darkness. The kind where you can't see your own hand in front of your face. I screamed. I screamed until my throat was raw and bleeding. Then I heard something. A sound from inside the walls. Scratching, like fingernails on concrete. Moving in a circle around the room. The clock was still visible. The red numbers glowing. 11:58. 2 minutes. At 11:59, I heard footsteps outside the door. Lots of them. Then voices. Muffled at first, then louder. They were counting down. 30. 29. 28. I screamed for help. I screamed that I'd do anything. Pay anything. Just let me out. 15. 14. 13. The scratching in the walls got louder. Faster. Like something was trying to get in. Or get out. 10. 9. 8. I could hear them right outside the door now. Chanting. Their voices in perfect unison. 5. 4. 3. The lights came back on. Blinding. I squeezed my eyes shut. 2. 1. The door opened. Everyone was there. Smiling. Holding champagne glasses. Wearing party hats. Derek came over and started undoing the restraints. His hands were steady. Practiced. See? Told you. You're fine. Happy New Year, Marcus. He handed me an envelope. Thick. I opened it with shaking hands. 50 $100 bills. Crisp. New. They smelled like ink. Someone handed me a towel for my wrists. Someone else gave me water. They were all so friendly now, patting me on the back, congratulating me, like I'd just finished a race. They let me leave, walked me to my car. Derek gave me his business card, told me to call if I ever needed anything. The woman in the red dress hugged me, whispered, "Thank you," in my ear. I got in my car and drove home. I didn't look back. I white-knuckled the steering wheel the whole way, ran 2 red lights, didn't care. When I got home, I sat in my car for an hour, just shaking. Eventually, I went inside, locked the doors, put a chair against them, took a shower, watched the blood from my wrists circle the drain. I never went back to that job. I called in sick on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. By Friday, they'd sent me a severance package, 3 months' salary, a glowing letter of recommendation, no explanation required. I moved to a different city 3 weeks later, Portland, ironically. Started over, new job, new apartment, new everything. I never spent the money. I tried once, went to a grocery store and handed the cashier a $100 bill. But when I touched it, my hands started shaking. I put it back in my wallet and left without buying anything. A week later, I burned all of it in my bathroom sink. Watched it curl and blacken. It took 40 minutes for all of it to burn. But here's the thing I can't stop thinking about. The thing that keeps me up at night. When I got home that first night, after I'd showered and bandaged my wrists, I looked up Derek's address online. I wanted to report what happened. File a police report. Something. The address he'd given everyone for the party was 4447 Pinehurst Drive. I remembered because I'd put it in my GPS. I searched for it. Nothing came up. I tried Google Maps, Street View, county records. Nothing. The address didn't exist. I thought maybe I'd remembered it wrong. So I checked my GPS history. The address was there. 4447 Pinehurst Drive. But when I clicked on it, it said location not found. I drove back the next day. Followed my GPS to where the house should have been. There was nothing there. Just an empty lot. Overgrown grass. A chain link fence. A for sale sign that looked like it'd been there for years. No house. No driveway. No evidence that anything had ever been there. I've tried to find Derek online. LinkedIn. Facebook. Instagram. Nothing. The company we worked for, the startup, I tried to look it up. The website was gone. The office building, I drove past it. Empty. For lease, sign in the window. I tried to find the woman in the red dress. The other people from that night. None of them exist. No social media. No public records. Nothing. It's like they were never real. Sometimes, I think I imagined the whole thing. That I had some kind of psychotic break. That I hurt myself and made up a story to explain it. But I still have the scars on my wrists. Permanent. The kind that doesn't fade. And I still remember every detail. The smell of the basement. The sound of the locks. The feeling of those restraints. The scratching in the walls. I don't go to parties anymore. I don't accept invitations from people I don't know well. And I never, ever stay somewhere after I get that feeling in my gut telling me to leave. Because I know now that sometimes the worst thing you can do is ignore what your body is trying to tell you. That instinct exists for a reason. It's trying to keep you alive. And whatever happened in that room, whatever I sat in that chair for, I know it wasn't over when they let me go. Because 3 nights ago, I got a text, unknown number. All it said was, same time next year. I didn't respond. I changed my number the next day. But I know they'll find me. Somehow. They always do. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to talk about. But I need to get it out. I need someone to know what really happened. What I did. What we did. My name is Vanessa. 3 years ago, I made a New Year's resolution with my best friend Emily. We'd been inseparable since middle school. 14 years of friendship. We told each other everything. Every secret, every fear, every stupid crush. Or at least I thought we did. That December, we were both stuck. I was in a dead-end relationship with a guy named Connor who barely noticed I existed. 3 years together, and he still forgot my birthday. Still prioritized his friends. Still made me feel like I was an afterthought. Emily was working a job she hated. Data entry at an insurance company. The kind of job that crushes your soul a little more every day. She was saving up to go back to school, but the money never materialized. Something always came up. Car repairs, medical bills, life. We complained about it constantly. Over drinks, over coffee, over text messages. At 2 in the morning when neither of us could sleep, we were in a rut, both of us, and we didn't know how to get out. On New Year's Eve, we decided to skip the parties. We'd been to enough of them. The forced fun, the drunk strangers, the inevitable disappointment when midnight came and nothing felt different. We went to her apartment instead, just the 2 of us, wine and Chinese takeout and bad movies on Netflix. It was perfect. Around 11, Emily got serious. She muted the TV and turned to me. Her expression was different, determined, almost manic. "I want to make a pact," she said. "A real one. Not like the resolutions we always break by January 15th. I asked what kind of pact. She got up and went to her desk, pulled out a notebook and a pen, sat back down next to me on the couch. "We each write down the one thing we want most in the new year. The thing we're too scared to say out loud. The thing we really, truly want, even if it's selfish or wrong or impossible. Then we seal it. And whatever we wrote, we have to make it happen, no matter what. No excuses. No backing out." It sounded dramatic, like something teenagers would do. But we were drunk on cheap wine, and it was almost midnight, so I agreed. We each took a page and wrote in private. I turned away so she couldn't see. She did the same. I don't remember exactly what I wrote. I was tipsy and emotional and angry at Connor for canceling our plans to go drinking with his friends. I remember writing fast, not thinking too hard about it. I folded mine up and handed it to her. She did the same. She put both pieces of paper in an envelope and sealed it with red wax. She had a wax seal kit from some craft project. She pressed her initial into the wax, made it official. Then she put the envelope in her desk drawer, locked it. "We open it next New Year's Eve," she said, "and we see if we kept our promises, if we actually made our wishes come true, if we were brave enough." I laughed it off, but Emily was dead serious. She made me swear, put my hand over my heart, and promise. So I did. We clinked glasses and drank and watched the ball drop on TV. Life went on. January came. February. March. I broke up with Connor in late March. It wasn't planned. We got into a fight about something stupid. I can't even remember what. And something inside me just snapped. I told him I was done. I moved my stuff out the next day. It felt good. Liberating. Like I could breathe again. Emily helped me move. She was so supportive. Told me I was doing the right thing. That I deserved better. Connor didn't take it well. He called me every day for a week. Left voicemails. Sent texts. Some angry. Some apologetic. Some just sad. I blocked him eventually. Needed a clean break. 2 weeks after the breakup, Emily came over with pizza and wine. We celebrated my newfound freedom. She kept saying how proud she was of me, how strong I was. It felt nice. I felt like I'd accomplished something. Then she asked if I'd heard from Connor. I told her no. I'd blocked him. She nodded, smiled, said that was smart. "He's probably moved on anyway," she said. "Guys like that always do." I agreed, felt a little sting of jealousy at the thought, but mostly relief. Emily quit her job in July. She'd been planning it for months, she said. Saved up enough to freelance for a while. Try to build something of her own. I was happy for her, proud. We went out to celebrate. Got drunk and danced and laughed until our faces hurt. Things were looking up for both of us. But as the year went on, I noticed something changing in Emily. She got quieter, more distant. She stopped laughing at my jokes, stopped initiating hangouts. I'd text her, and she'd take hours to respond, sometimes days. When we did see each other, she seemed distracted, like she was somewhere else. I asked if she was okay. She always said yes. Just stressed, just busy, just tired. In October, she started canceling plans. She had work stuff, family stuff. She wasn't feeling well. Always an excuse. I didn't push it. I figured she needed space. That whatever she was dealing with, she'd tell me when she was ready. But it got worse in November. She barely responded to texts. Didn't answer calls. I started to worry. Started to think maybe I'd done something wrong. Maybe she was mad at me. but I couldn't figure out what. Then December came. I texted her about New Year's Eve, reminded her about the pact, asked if she wanted to do the same thing again. Open the envelope, see if we'd kept our promises. She didn't respond for 3 days. When she finally did, all she said was, "We need to meet. In person. It's important." My stomach dropped. Something in the way she said it, the flatness of the text, no emoji, no punctuation, just cold. We met at a coffee shop near her place, neutral ground. When I got there, she was already sitting at a table in the corner. She looked terrible, dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She'd lost weight, a lot of it. Her cheekbones were sharp. I sat down across from her, asked if she was okay. She didn't answer right away. She just stared at her coffee, black, untouched. "Do you remember the pact?" she finally said. I told her I did, sort of. I didn't remember exactly what I'd written, but I remembered making it. The wax seal, the promise. She reached into her bag, pulled out the envelope. The seal was broken, jagged, like she'd ripped it open in a hurry. "I opened it," she said, "last week. I couldn't wait anymore. I needed to know." I felt a spike of anxiety, cold and sharp in my chest. I asked her why. We were supposed to open it together. She didn't answer. She just slid the envelope across the table. I opened it, pulled out both pieces of paper. They were worn, creased, like she'd read them 100 times. Mine was on top, my handwriting, messy and slanted from the wine. It said, "I want Connor gone. I want him out of my life forever. I want to never think about him again." I stared at it. I didn't remember writing that, but it was definitely my handwriting. My pen, my words. Then I looked at Emily's. Her handwriting was messier, rushed, almost frantic. It said, "I want Vanessa to know what it feels like." I read it 3 times, 4 times. I didn't understand. "What does that mean?" I asked. Emily's hands were shaking. She wrapped them around her coffee cup like she was trying to keep warm, but it was 70 degrees outside. "Connor's dead," she said. "He died in March, 2 days after you broke up with him." The world tilted. I told her that wasn't possible, that he'd been texting me, calling me. He was fine. Emily shook her head, slow, deliberate. "Those texts weren't from him. I sent them from his phone. I had to make it look real." I couldn't breathe. The coffee shop felt too small, too hot. I asked her what she was talking about, what she meant. She leaned forward. Her voice was barely a whisper. "You wrote that you wanted him gone, so I made him gone. I made your wish come true. That was the pact. That's what we promised." I told her to stop, that this wasn't funny, that she needed to stop right now. But she kept going. Her voice was flat, emotionless, like she was reading from a script. "I followed him one night after you broke up. March 29th. He was drunk, stumbling down the street, near his apartment, on Capitol Hill. I'd been watching him for days, waiting for the right moment. I pulled up next to him, offered him a ride, told him I was a friend of yours. He got in. I stood up. My chair scraped against the floor. People turned to look. I didn't care. I told her to stop lying, that I was going to leave. She grabbed my wrist, hard. Her fingers were ice cold. "Sit down," You need to hear this. You need to know what you made me do." I sat. I don't know why. Maybe I was in shock. Maybe part of me needed to hear it. "I drove him to the overpass on Highway 9, she continued. "The one with the construction barriers. I told him you were waiting for him at the viewpoint, that you wanted to talk. Wanted to get back together. He believed me. He was so desperate to see you." She paused, took a sip of her coffee. Her hand was steady now. "We got out of the car, walked to the edge. I told him you were running late, that we should wait. He was so drunk he could barely stand. And then I pushed him. Hard. He fell backwards. Right over the barrier. Onto the highway below. I was crying now, silently, tears running down my face. I asked her why. Why would she do that? A semi hit him before he could get up, she said. He died instantly. They ruled it an accident. Drunk guy falls off an overpass. Happens all the time. Nobody suspected anything. I went home and I sent you texts from his phone. Made it seem like he was still alive. Still harassing you. Then I wiped the phone and threw it in the lake. Why? She was smiling now. This small, sad smile that made my skin crawl. I kept my end of the pact, she said. I made your resolution come true. And I wanted you to know what it feels like. To have someone do something irreversible for you. To carry that weight. To know that someone died because you wrote words on a piece of paper. I asked her about her resolution. What it meant. She laughed. A short, bitter sound. I wanted you to know what it feels like to lose control. To have someone take your words and make them real. I've watched you my whole life, Vanessa. You say things and you don't mean them. You complain and you wish, and you never do anything about it. I wanted you to understand that words have consequences, that wishes come true if someone cares enough to make them happen. I left. I ran out of that coffee shop and I didn't look back. People were staring. The barista asked if I was okay. I didn't answer. I got in my car and I drove home. And I locked the doors and I called the police. They investigated. They questioned Emily. They searched her apartment, her car, her computer. They looked into Connor's death, reopened the case. But Connor's death had been ruled an accident. There were no witnesses, no camera footage from that stretch of highway, no evidence of foul play, just a drunk guy who fell off an overpass. And Emily denied everything. She told the police I was having a breakdown, that I'd been obsessed with Connor's death, that I'd been calling her constantly, making up stories. She said I was trying to blame her for my own guilt. She showed them her therapist's notes, months of sessions about dealing with a friend who was spiraling. She'd planned for this, set it up, made herself look like the victim. They believed her, or at least they couldn't prove she was lying. Not enough for charges. The detective called me 2 weeks later, told me they were closing the investigation, told me to get help, suggested a good therapist. I haven't spoken to Emily since that day in the coffee shop. I don't know where she is now. I deleted her number, blocked her on everything, moved to a different neighborhood, changed my routine. I look over my shoulder constantly, but I still have the envelope. I keep it in a fireproof box under my bed. I know I should destroy it, burn it, but I can't. It's the only proof that any of it happened, the only evidence that I'm not crazy. Every New Year's Eve, I think about what I wrote, what I wanted. I tell myself I didn't mean it literally, that I was just venting, just drunk and angry. But does that matter? Does intent matter when the result is the same? Connor is dead. Emily killed him. Because of words I wrote. Because of a wish I made. I don't make resolutions anymore. I don't make pacts. I don't write down my wishes. I don't even celebrate New Year's. I go to bed early, pull the covers over my head, wait for it to be over. Because I learned that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is tell someone what you want, even if you don't mean it. Even if you're just drunk and sad and scribbling on a piece of paper at midnight. Someone might be listening. Someone might love you enough to make it come true. And you'll have to live with that for the rest of your life. 3 months ago, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a new envelope, sealed with red wax. My initial pressed into it. I haven't opened it. It's sitting in the box with the old one. Sometimes I can hear it at night, calling to me, telling me to look inside. But I know what it says. I know what Emily wrote, what she wants me to know, and I'm too afraid to read it. I'm recording this because I don't know if anyone will believe me otherwise, and I need people to know what happened before I lose my nerve, before I convince myself it wasn't real. My name is Tyler. I'm 29. I used to run a YouTube channel, true crime and horror stories, urban exploration, that kind of thing. Nothing huge, maybe 30,000 subscribers, but it paid some bills, kept me afloat. I'd been doing it for 3 years, started as a hobby, turned into a job. I loved it. The research, the investigation, the storytelling, finding places nobody else would go and bringing them to life for people who'd never see them otherwise. Last year, I decided to do something different for New Year's Eve. Something special. A live stream. I'd explore an abandoned building at midnight and ring in the new year with my audience. Real time. No editing. No safety net. Just me and them. I posted a poll asking my subscribers to vote on the location. I gave them 5 options. All places I'd scouted. All supposedly haunted. Though I didn't believe in that stuff. I just liked the atmosphere. The history. The winner was overwhelming. 73%. An old hospital on the edge of town. Street Catherines. It'd been closed since the 90s. Rumors of malpractice. Patient abuse. Illegal experiments. The usual stuff people say about abandoned places. Urban legends. Creepypasta material. I should have picked something else. Should have gone with the second choice. An old factory. Safer. But the votes were clear, and I didn't want to disappoint. My audience had spoken. I spent a week preparing, researching the hospital, looking at old blueprints, reading news articles. Most of it was boring. Budget cuts, facility closure, nothing sinister. But the building had been empty for 25 years. That was enough. I set everything up. 2 cameras, 1 handheld for mobility, 1 mounted on my chest for point-of-view shots, backup batteries, external hard drives, a good flashlight, 2 backup flashlights, a first aid kit. I was prepared. I went live at 11:15. About 600 people watching. Good numbers for me. The chat was already going crazy. People making jokes, sending super chats, asking me to check certain rooms they'd heard about. The hospital was on the outskirts, past the industrial district, the kind of area where nobody goes after dark. I parked in an empty lot across the street and grabbed my gear. The building was massive. 5 stories. Red brick. Most of the windows were broken. Graffiti covered the ground floor. The front entrance was chained shut, but I'd found a side door during my scout. Someone had already busted the lock. I pushed it open and stepped inside. The smell hit me immediately. Mold. Rot. Something chemical underneath. Asbestos maybe. Or old cleaning supplies. The air was thick with it. The chat exploded. People telling me to be careful, saying they could smell it through the screen. Making jokes about tetanus. I made my way down the main hallway. My flashlight cut through the dark, but it didn't help much. The shadows were too deep. Every room I passed was gutted, broken equipment. Old gurneys rusted in place. Chairs overturned. Papers scattered across the floor. Graffiti on every wall. I read some of it out loud for the stream. Most of it was typical. Names, dates, curse words. But some of it was stranger. Symbols I didn't recognize. Phrases in what looked like Latin. Warnings. Don't go to the third floor. They're still listening. Exit through the basement or don't exit at all. The chat loved it. People were sending donations, telling me to go to the third floor, begging me to investigate. Around 11:30, I found the stairwell. Concrete, dark. The handrail was loose. I tested it before putting weight on it. Seemed stable enough. I decided to go up to the third floor. That's where the psychiatric ward used to be. People in the chat were going crazy, spamming messages. This was what they wanted. The third floor was worse, darker. The smell was stronger. I could hear something dripping in the distance. My footsteps echoed weird, like the sound was coming from somewhere else. Behind me, above me. I found a room at the end of the hall with the door still intact. Most of the others had been torn off their hinges. This one was closed. I tried the handle, locked. But the wood was rotted, soft. I kicked it near the handle. Once, twice. It splintered and gave way. Inside was a single bed frame. No mattress. Just the metal springs. And on the wall above it, someone had scratched words into the plaster. Deep, like they'd used something sharp. A nail, a piece of metal. I stepped closer and read them out loud for the stream. They're still watching. They never left. The chat erupted. People saying it was creepy, asking me to get closer, asking for better angles. I zoomed in with my handheld camera. That's when I noticed something else. On the floor, near the bed, a phone. It looked new, too new to belong there. An iPhone, recent model. The screen was cracked, but it was intact. I picked it up. The chat was asking what I found. I held it up to the camera, turned it over. It had a case, plain black, no identifying marks. I pressed the power button. It turned on. Full battery, no lock screen. And there was one app open, a live streaming app. My live streaming app. The same one I was using, and it was streaming me, right now, from an angle I couldn't see. I froze. Looked around the room. My flashlight swept the corners. The ceiling. There was no one there. No camera. No equipment. Just me. But on the phone, I could see myself. Standing in the room, holding the phone. The view was from above. High angle. Like someone was standing on the ceiling looking down. The chat on my own stream started freaking out. Messages flying by too fast to read. People saying they could see someone behind me. In the doorway. I spun around. No one. I looked back at the phone. On the screen, there was a figure, standing directly behind me. Tall, wearing something dark, a coat or a robe. But when I looked over my shoulder, the doorway was empty. My heart was slamming. I backed toward the wall. The figure on the phone followed me. It moved when I moved, mirrored me, but I couldn't see it. It wasn't there. Then the phone buzzed. A notification. A message from an unknown number. Turn around. I didn't want to. Every instinct screamed not to, but I did. slowly. And this time, I saw it. Not a person. Not exactly. It was me. Same height. Same build. Same clothes. But wrong. The proportions were off. The arms were too long. The head was tilted at an angle that shouldn't be possible. And the face. God. The face. It was my face, but stretched. The eyes were too wide. The mouth was smiling. Too wide. Teeth showing. Too many teeth. It was standing in the doorway. Not moving. Just staring. I screamed and ran. Dropped the phone and bolted for the stairs. My chest camera was bouncing. The footage would be unusable. I didn't care. I just ran. I made it to the first floor and out the side door. Didn't stop until I was at my car. I jumped in and locked the doors. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely get the key in the ignition. I ended the stream. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't explain. Just ended it. I sat there for maybe 20 minutes, trying to catch my breath. Trying to convince myself it wasn't real. That I'd imagined it. Panic. Fear. The dark. Then I drove home. When I got there, I checked the footage. I had to know. I watched the whole thing back. All 45 minutes. And here's what I can't explain. On the recording, there's nothing in the doorway. I'm screaming at empty air. I'm running from nothing. The phone I picked up doesn't show up on the footage. It's like it wasn't there. But at the very end, just before I drop the chest camera, you can hear something. A voice. It sounds like mine, but slower, deeper, distorted. It says, "See you next year." I deleted the channel the next day. I didn't give a reason, didn't explain. I just took everything down and disappeared. 3 years of work, gone. Some of my subscribers found me on other platforms, asked what happened, if I was okay. I didn't respond. I deleted those accounts too. I tried to move on, got a normal job, office work, data analysis, boring, safe. I stopped going to abandoned places, stopped filming, stopped everything. But it didn't matter. 2 weeks after I deleted the channel, I got an email. No subject line, no sender name, just a video file attachment. I should have deleted it, but I opened it. It was footage from inside that hospital room, from the angle I saw on the phone, looking down at me. And in the video, I'm still there, still standing in that room, frozen, staring up at the camera. The timestamp on the video is from 3 days after I was there. I haven't been back to that hospital. I haven't been anywhere near it. But somehow, I'm still there. Still being recorded. I've received 4 more videos since then. All the same. Me standing in that room. Different timestamps. The most recent one was from 2 days ago. And tonight is New Year's Eve again. Exactly 1 year later. I don't know what happens at midnight. I don't know if I should leave my apartment or lock myself inside. I don't know if it matters. All I know is that whatever I saw in that hospital is still watching. And it's not done with me yet. Because this morning, I woke up and my phone was on. I didn't turn it on. It was dead. When I went to sleep. The live streaming app was open. And it was broadcasting. My apartment. My bedroom. Me. Sleeping. 3,000 people were watching. I ended the stream. Deleted the app. Factory reset my phone. But when I checked my laptop, the app was there too. Broadcasting. I deleted it. Same thing on my tablet. I can't stop it. Every device I own is streaming. And I can't see where the camera is. The angle is always from above, always looking down. I've covered my cameras, taped over them. Doesn't matter. The stream continues. And the chat. God, the chat. It's not my subscribers. I don't recognize any of the names. They're all nonsense, random letters and numbers. But they're talking. They're counting down. 6 hours until midnight. 5 hours. 4. I don't know what happens when they reach 0, but I know I can't stop it. So I'm recording this, telling someone, anyone, what happened, what's happening. If you're watching this, if you're hearing this, learn from my mistakes. Don't go looking for horror. Don't invite it in. Because sometimes it follows you home, and it never leaves. It just watches and waits and records forever. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more stories.